Lewis Hamilton gives Ferrari an ultimatum and threatens to throw everything away if they don't listen. Is the most legendary team in motorsport about to lose its biggest star before they've even won anything together? What started as a routine team briefing quickly turned into a bombshell moment when Lewis Hamilton made an unexpected demand that left everyone at Maranello stunned. With the spotlight fixed on him since his highly publicized move to the iconic Scuderia, every word he utters sends shockwaves through the paddock. And this time, it was no different. According to multiple sources close to the Italian outfit, Hamilton requested a radical overhaul of his pre-race engineering protocol, specifically targeting the communication dynamics between him and the team's technical staff. While such requests are not unusual for a driver of his caliber, the timing and tone of Hamilton's demand made it clear this was not about mere efficiency. It was about trust, or rather, the lack of it. Ever since his arrival at Maranello, Hamilton has been visibly unsettled with how certain information is filtered to him during crucial decision-making moments. The veteran driver reportedly insisted that from now on, he would only accept direct communication from his personal performance engineer and demanded full access to all raw telemetry data, unfiltered and in real time. A move that not only bypasses traditional hierarchy within the team, but also signals a deeper rift that may be forming behind the garage doors. The implications of Lewis Hamilton's demand extend far beyond a simple tweak in communication style. Within Maranello, such a direct challenge to protocol is seen as a rare and potentially disruptive act, especially when it comes from someone as high-profile and experienced as Hamilton. Historically, Scuderia Ferrari has operated under a strict hierarchical structure where information flows through several layers before reaching the driver. This system, though designed to ensure clarity and prevent chaos, has often been criticized for slowing down the decision-making process. For Hamilton, who built his career at Brawn GP and later became a legend at Mercedes under a culture of high adaptability and direct access, this filtered system must feel archaic. What adds further intrigue is the growing sense within the paddock that Hamilton's move is not just a technical request, it is a political message. Since joining Ferrari, the seven-time world champion has been vocal in private about the inconsistencies in engineering feedback and strategic input, particularly during simulator sessions and pre-weekend briefings. Sources inside Maranello claim that Hamilton was especially irritated by last month's incident during a private setup test at Fiorano, where his telemetry feedback clashed dramatically with the simulation data prepared by the factory team. That disagreement was reportedly the tipping point that led to his bold demand before the Canadian weekend. According to insiders, this is not about control, it is about transparency. And in a team where internal politics often rival on-track drama, that could be a game-changer. The timing of Lewis Hamilton's request is not accidental. With tensions rising inside Maranello and results falling short of expectations, this demand lands like a thunderclap over an already stormy atmosphere. And behind the scenes, his insistence on changing how engineering data is relayed to him seems to be part of a broader push to transform the team's culture from within. Several figures close to the situation have confirmed that Hamilton is growing frustrated not only with the technical side of the operation, but also with the philosophical divide that has become more evident since his arrival. The contrast with his time at Mercedes could not be more stark. At Brackley, decisions were taken collaboratively, engineers were empowered, and the driver's input was considered integral to the development cycle. At Ferrari, however, a more traditional structure prevails, where senior engineers and directors often make final decisions without immediate consultation with the driver. This cultural mismatch has been quietly brewing since preseason testing. According to one source within the technical department, Hamilton has clashed multiple times with the head of performance analysis over disagreements regarding tire data, energy deployment strategies, and the weight distribution of the current SF25. In one particularly heated meeting in early May, Hamilton allegedly walked out after being told that his suggestions for a new rear suspension calibration would be considered for the second half of the season. That moment, according to some, marked a turning point. From that day forward, Hamilton began taking a more hands-on role, sometimes bypassing the usual chain of command to speak directly with his preferred engineers. His demand for unfiltered communication is the latest expression of this shift. And while some within the team see it as a welcome shakeup, others warn that it could lead to deeper divisions, particularly with teammates and longtime staff who feel bypassed or undermined. As the Canadian weekend approaches, one thing is certain: Lewis Hamilton is no longer simply adapting to Ferrari. He is actively reshaping it on his terms. The ripple effect of Lewis Hamilton's demand is being felt far beyond the walls of Maranello. Inside the Scuderia's technical department, whispers of uncertainty have begun circulating among engineers and strategy coordinators. For some, the message is clear: Hamilton is not just asking for better communication. He is forcing the team to confront long-standing habits that many believed were set in stone. Multiple Italian journalists have reported that Hamilton's private sessions with select engineers have increased in frequency, often taking place in secluded meeting rooms after hours. This has sparked speculation about a new internal alignment forming within the team, where loyalty to Hamilton's methods could determine one's future in Ferrari. A senior mechanic, speaking anonymously to a well-known British publication, revealed that the seven-time world champion has taken issue with the layers of communication that dilute real-time decision-making during sessions. Hamilton, accustomed to the streamlined and reactive environment of Mercedes, reportedly views the Ferrari hierarchy as overly bureaucratic and slow. This sentiment is not new among drivers, but rarely has it been challenged so openly. Some see Hamilton's behavior as dangerously close to insubordination. Others, however, see it as a wake-up call for a team that has long needed one. Interestingly, this internal shakeup comes just weeks after Frédéric Vasseur, Ferrari's team principal, made public remarks about harmonizing driver feedback, a comment many now interpret as a veiled reference to Hamilton's assertive approach. Furthermore, the demand for more direct radio access is not just a technical detail. It speaks to trust, control, and autonomy. Hamilton wants real-time influence over strategy calls, tire management, and energy deployment, and he wants that influence to be unfiltered by layers of analysis or managerial approval. This fundamentally challenges the role of race engineers, especially figures like Riccardo Adami, who have historically maintained a commanding presence on the radio. The question looming over Ferrari is whether this push for change will spark innovation, or fracture the delicate balance of power inside the garage. What is clear is that Hamilton has no intention of fading quietly into the red background. Instead, he is demanding to be at the center of every decision, and he is doing so with a sense of urgency that suggests time is running out. Outside of Maranello, the Formula One paddock is watching this development with sharp attention and quiet disbelief. The idea that Lewis Hamilton, a driver renowned for his composure and diplomacy, would take such a confrontational stance has surprised even his fiercest rivals. But perhaps no one is watching more closely than Red Bull. According to sources within the Austrian team, Hamilton's recent actions have been interpreted not only as a move to reshape Ferrari from within, but also as a signal to the rest of the grid. He is still in full control of his destiny. One high-ranking Red Bull figure reportedly told a German outlet that this is not the behavior of someone who plans to retire quietly. Instead, there is now speculation that Hamilton is positioning himself either to force radical change within Ferrari, or to justify a dramatic exit if that change does not come. Within the walls of Milton Keynes, there is reportedly growing fascination with Hamilton's mindset. While no one expects the seven-time champion to walk away mid-season, Red Bull's leadership, including Christian Joner, is said to be re-evaluating previous assumptions about their future lineup. While the relationship between Hamilton and Red Bull has historically been cold, particularly given his long-standing rivalry with Max Verstappen, the political landscape of Formula One is shifting. With multiple contracts up for renewal in 2026 and whispers of driver movement increasing by the week, insiders now believe that even the most unthinkable scenarios, including a potential approach between Red Bull and Hamilton, cannot be fully ruled out. Meanwhile, Mercedes team figures have also quietly weighed in. Toto Wolff, who remains personally close to Hamilton despite their professional parting, recently gave a cryptic interview where he described Lewis as a driver who never accepts limitations. While Wolff stopped short of naming Ferrari directly, the message was clear. Hamilton is once again trying to bend the system to his will. And if the system resists, history suggests he will not simply adapt. There is also a financial angle at play. Analysts following Ferrari's investor relations note that Hamilton's presence has brought immense media value to the team, but that his demands may strain internal resources if met. High-level decisions about staffing, infrastructure, and even simulator development could be impacted if Hamilton's vision becomes central to the team's strategic path. What started as a radio communication issue has now morphed into a broader ideological confrontation between an elite driver and an institution not known for flexibility. And the media? They're having a field day. Italian newspapers are running editorials questioning whether Ferrari truly understands what they have in Hamilton. British outlets, meanwhile, are already debating whether this is 2012 all over again, a reference to the year Hamilton left Mercedes-Benz McLaren in pursuit of a bolder vision. Only this time, the stakes are even higher, and the clock is ticking louder. The reverberations of Lewis Hamilton's internal challenge are now being felt not just within the walls of Ferrari or among rival teams, but across the entire Formula One community. In Italy, where Ferrari holds an almost sacred status, the reaction has been divided and at times volatile. While some segments of the Tifosi have welcomed Hamilton's boldness as a necessary jolt to a team too comfortable with tradition, others have expressed outrage, accusing the British driver of undermining Ferrari's identity and disrespecting its engineering core. Several prominent Ferrari fan clubs have issued public letters urging Maranello's management not to bow to what they describe as external pressure disguised as leadership. At the same time, former legends of the sport have begun weighing in, and not all of them are on Hamilton's side. Former Ferrari world champion Gian Alesi, speaking to La Gazzetta dello Sport, stated bluntly that Luis knew exactly what Ferrari is. You do not walk into a cathedral and demand they repaint the altar. Alesi argued that while Hamilton's desire for reform is understandable, the way he is going about it risks tearing apart the internal cohesion that Ferrari relies on. Another ex-Ferrari figure, Rubens Barrichello, took a more sympathetic view, saying that Hamilton's demands might be uncomfortable, but they are probably necessary if Ferrari wants to stop being nostalgic and start winning. Meanwhile, in the United Kingdom, the reaction has been far more supportive. British pundits on networks like Sky Sports and Channel 4 have framed Hamilton's assertiveness as a sign of his relentless drive and refusal to settle for mediocrity. Damon Gill, a longtime ally of Hamilton, even went as far as to suggest that if Ferrari cannot meet the expectations of a seven-time world champion, then the real problem is not the driver, it is the culture. These clashing interpretations reflect a deeper truth. Hamilton's presence at Ferrari was always going to challenge the status quo, but few expected the conflict to reach this level of intensity so quickly. What makes this situation even more explosive is the timing. Formula One is in the middle of an identity shift, with new regulations looming for 2026 and a younger generation of drivers pushing to define the sport on their own terms. In that context, Hamilton's stance can be seen not just as a battle over setup preferences or simulator software, but as part of a much larger debate about who should have power in modern F1. The engineers, the team principals, or the drivers themselves. By insisting on a greater role in how the car is developed and demanding a clear voice in strategic decisions, Luis is putting that very question to the test. Ferrari's response has so far been muted, perhaps deliberately. Benedetto Vigna, the team's CEO, has declined to address the controversy directly, merely saying during a shareholders' call that the team is united and focused on performance. However, insiders say that behind closed doors, there is significant disagreement over how far Ferrari should go to appease its new star. Some argue that conceding too much could destabilize the technical leadership. Others believe that ignoring Hamilton's feedback, especially when it comes from someone with decades of experience and championship success, would be an unforgivable waste. This quiet civil war is further complicated by the presence of Carlos Leclerc, whose own position inside the team is shifting in response to Hamilton's growing influence. While publicly the Monegasque has praised Luis's feedback, privately there are signs of unease. As one Ferrari insider told a Spanish newspaper, there are two alphas now and only one steering wheel. Hamilton's demand might not have been a simple outburst or internal ultimatum, but rather a calculated move, the opening shot of a broader strategy. Multiple sources close to the Formula One inner circle have begun to suggest that Hamilton's frustration at Ferrari may be the prelude to something more radical, a potential exit. Even more shocking, whispers have emerged connecting the seven-time world champion to conversations, indirect or otherwise, with teams that would have been unimaginable allies only a few years ago. The most persistent of these rumors links Hamilton with Red Bull. While no official talks have been confirmed, the mere possibility has sent shockwaves through the community. The idea of Hamilton, once the arch-rival of the Milton Keynes powerhouse, even entertaining the idea of wearing the colors of the Austrian team would have been unthinkable in previous seasons. But insiders say that Hamilton has been watching closely the internal storm brewing at Red Bull since the controversy surrounding Christian Horner earlier this year, and he believes that a power vacuum may open unexpected doors. According to an unnamed executive, Luis is not just looking for a fast car anymore. He is looking for a structure that will listen to him, let him lead, and adapt to his vision. Adding fuel to the fire, several high-profile figures have commented cryptically in recent days. Adrian Newey, Red Bull's legendary technical mastermind who recently announced his departure for 2026, said in a press event in Monaco that there are still many legends who want to leave their mark before the next era begins. Although he did not mention Hamilton by name, the statement was interpreted by some as a subtle acknowledgement of the veteran's intentions. Meanwhile, in an appearance on German television, former world champion Nico Rosberg remarked that if Ferrari refuses to listen, they will lose him, and they will regret it for a decade. Even more revealing are the details surrounding Hamilton's recent meetings in London, which have been shrouded in mystery. According to a report published by Motorsport magazine, Hamilton visited the offices of Ineos, one of Mercedes' major stakeholders, in the week leading up to the Canadian round. The meeting was officially billed as a discussion related to sustainability initiatives, but several sources believe other topics were discussed, including the British driver's long-term future in the sport. Ineos, as a powerful player with connections in both Formula One and cycling, could potentially support an independent project, or even facilitate an unexpected alliance with another team. While all this unfolds, the question remains, is Luis truly ready to walk away from Ferrari? Some believe he is using these leaks as leverage, forcing the team to respond to his demands regarding technical control, simulator protocols, and driver-engineer communication. Others argue that the frustration is real, that the romantic idea of driving for Ferrari has been shattered by bureaucracy, cultural friction, and technical disarray. What is certain is that Hamilton is not one to remain passive. Throughout his career, from his dramatic split with McLaren to his late-stage evolution with Mercedes, he has consistently reinvented himself when the situation demanded it. This time, however, the stakes may be even higher. At 39, Hamilton knows he has fewer seasons ahead than behind. He is not merely chasing one more title, he is chasing legacy. And that legacy, according to close confidants, will not be defined by loyalty to a struggling giant, but by action, results, and power. As one former teammate put it, Luis is playing chess. Everyone else is playing checkers. The storm that Lewis Hamilton has stirred is far from over, and it may have just begun. As the global media continues to dissect every word of his unexpected message to Ferrari's leadership, analysts and insiders alike are beginning to agree on one thing. Hamilton's move marks a seismic shift not only for his personal career, but for the entire Formula One landscape. By publicly issuing demands that challenge the structure and decision-making process of Ferrari, the British legend is not simply fighting for better performance. He is declaring war on complacency, hierarchy, and outdated systems. Within Ferrari, the atmosphere has turned icy. According to Italian outlet La Gazzetta dello Sport, internal meetings held this week at Maranello were described as tense and emotionally charged, with some top engineers voicing concerns that Hamilton's demands could divide the team. Others, however, reportedly support his push for reform, arguing that his experience and understanding of winning environments could be the catalyst Ferrari desperately needs. Interestingly, team principal Frederick Vasseur has remained completely silent since Hamilton's outburst, fueling speculation that a major internal shakeup might be imminent. Meanwhile, the rest of the grid is watching with both curiosity and caution. Figures such as Jos Capito and Toto Wolff have publicly praised Hamilton's courage to speak out, pointing to his track record of advocating for team accountability and innovation. Wolff, in particular, added fuel to speculation by stating during a Sky Sports interview that drivers of Lewis's caliber do not speak impulsively. If he is raising the alarm, it is because the situation is worse than the public realizes. That quote alone has been shared over 3 million times on social media in less than 24 hours. Fans are equally polarized. In forums, podcasts, and comment sections, debates are raging over whether Hamilton is being disruptive or visionary. Some accuse him of being disloyal, forgetting that it was Ferrari who convinced him to leave Mercedes with a promise of glory. Others argue that Hamilton has simply been betrayed by a myth, that the Scuderia's mystique has outgrown its operational reality, and that his frustrations echo the struggles of great drivers before him, from Sebastian Vettel to Fernando Alonso. A viral thread on X by F1 historian Mark Hughes highlighted how Ferrari has repeatedly failed to modernize its structure, despite hiring world-class talent. But the true pressure may now lie with Ferrari's top brass, including Elkann Agnelli and the board of Stellantis. If they fail to respond convincingly to Hamilton's challenge, the damage may go beyond one season. Sponsors, partners, and even junior drivers within the Ferrari Driver Academy are beginning to ask uncomfortable questions. Does Ferrari have a plan? Can they truly support a driver of Hamilton's caliber? Not just with engineering, but with vision, ambition, and flexibility? Or will this be remembered as another chapter in the Scuderia's long history of losing champions through stubbornness? As the Formula One world turns its eyes to Canada, many wonder whether Lewis Hamilton will take another step toward the exit, or if Ferrari will finally confront its internal contradictions and fight back with the urgency of a team that still wants to win. What is clear is that Hamilton's demand was not a plea. It was a warning. And for those who have followed his career, warnings from Hamilton are never empty. They are preludes to decisive action. Because when the greatest driver of his generation threatens to walk, the sport does not just lose a competitor, it risks losing its most powerful voice.